Hi there, I'm James Osborne, the co-founder of the Recruitment Network, and this is the TRN Podcast. Every week, we unpack the strategies, the technologies, the processes and mindsets fueling today's top-performing recruitment agencies. We take a look behind the scenes of some great recruitment businesses. We listen to the real-life stories of those who have built those businesses, and we learn from some of the industry's greatest thought leaders to help you become both future fit and future relevant. So let's begin with this next episode of the TRM podcast.
Just a quick introduction to what we're going to talk about today. So we're talking about productisation. It's something that we've been talking about for ages and ages now, and really, really powerful. This has evolved quite a bit recently with some of the stuff that we're doing around the Pinnacle services. So if you haven't seen that, we'll talk about that in a second. But I think this is a really exciting opportunity, and it's a really simple way to reduce the amount of time and wastage within your business, but also increase margins and increase sales at the same time as well. So we really enjoy the productisation piece because we see the impact it's made to so many businesses and so many recruiters at the same time. So I'm going to share my screen with you. As always, I'll share the slides with you at the end of today, and we are recording today's session as well. So we've got the recorded version, which we can look back on if you need to. But let me run through how productisation works. I'll take you through a step-by-step process so you can actually implement it yourself. And then if you've got any questions, as I said, feel free to ask. And we'll keep this to about sort of half an hour or so. Hopefully that'll get us through everything we need to do. I won't run through, you know who TRN are, so I don't need to explain that, I don't think. Just to remind you about some of the stuff that's available to you at the moment, things like the Pinnacle program, which is an evolution of what we're going to touch on today. The Velocity program, which is our new business development playbook, which is available to all the members at the moment. And that includes a whole training course as well that we've provided for you, some agents and so on and so forth. So this is how to do BD in this type of market. We've got the social scaling program, which is your 4-week personal branding program. All of these are free, by the way, so there's no charge for any of these things. That's where we help you understand how to beat the LinkedIn algorithms and how to get your brand out there. We've got Traction, which is our 4-week live AI development program where we're building agents with the members, which is a lot of fun at the moment. And some of the stuff that's coming out on the other side is pretty crazy cool. We've got the retreat coming up in June. Tickets are available now if anyone wants to come and join us for that. It's 2 days. We'll have about 250 recruitment leaders together for a couple of days. Some amazing speakers, some guest stuff going on. We're really, really looking forward to that this year. It's going to be really a lot of work we're going to be doing as well. So make sure you're booking onto that if you want to come and join us on that. You'll find all the information about all these things up on our TRN World platform and via the app as well. So again, help yourself to everything that you need to be able to get access to all these things. Those of you who aren't members of TRN, if you want to get involved more formally, obviously come and join us. We'd love to welcome you. And as always, those of you who are members, make sure you're tapping into all the stuff that's there for you, and make sure you're booking into one of your product strategy sessions, because we're going to talk about the products today and how that sort of works. So let me put a backdrop to what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to start around positioning. Really important. There's a change in the market. There's a change in what we're doing and how we need to be positioning ourselves in the recruitment sector. The reality is a lot of recruiters position themselves very much as a sort of short-term supply. What we need to flip to is more of these long-term embedded partnerships with our customers. That requires us to get in their boardrooms more, where we can influence the decision-making and so on and so forth. And if you are selling these sort of more long-term partnership type relationships rather than just filling jobs type stuff, then you can get paid a hell of a lot more. You get paid for your time as much as you're worth. You can start selling different types of products and different types of services, whether that be productized solutions we'll talk about today, subscriptions, and generating and building up more of a recurring revenue model, even if you're just perm only as well, by the way. So this to me is about very much flipping the narrative and changing the positioning of a recruitment company. So we're more long-term partnerships, less term, short-term supply. Number of reasons why this is important, why we want to do it, is ultimately what we want to do is get to a point where your recurring revenue within your business is covering at least, I would suggest, ideally 25 to 50 to 70% of your GP. When you get to that point, it changes everything. I was on a call first thing this morning with one of our international members who have now got their recurring revenue book up to well over 40% of their GP, which is great. But we're now pushing it to that 70%. That's the real push for the summer now, is to get that recurring revenue to over 70%. By doing that, it means basically you wake up every morning and nearly all of your costs are covered, which is obviously great. And then you can take it from there. The other reason why this is important as well is some of you, I'm sure, have been familiar or experienced the feast or famine syndrome. which is really tough in a recruitment company. It's a real pain in the backside, to be honest with you, especially when there's volatility in the marketplace. It means you end up with more months in a row where you're getting sort of famine months where the deals aren't coming through, and you're really scrapping around for revenue. The more recurring revenue you've got, the less of these feast or famines, these peaks or troughs that you have as well. So again, recurring revenue is really, really important. On top of that, when we talk about the difference between contingent recruitment and retained or embedded or partnership recruitment, the reality is I think it's really bloody hard for a recruiter to do their job properly when you're working on a contingent basis with your client, because you just can't get close to the clients properly. You can't do a proper job. You can't do all the things you want to be able to do. So not only is it good from a value point of view, it just means actually you've got the ability to do your job properly as well, which obviously is significantly important. We see this across the membership at the moment. So a lot of the members that we've worked with have worked really hard on their productized solutions. And now we're starting to see lots and lots, and we have done over the last 2 years, I suppose, lots and lots of messages from the members. These are some of the WhatsApp messages I get, where we're talking about some of the new deals that they've won, which are more of embedded partnership, long-term relationship type deals, as opposed to spot winning, won a job sort of thing. So this is where people are winning sort of like RPO contracts, mini RPO contracts, deals where there's 100 contractors out at a time, rolling retained projects, and so it goes on, subscription packaging, and et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing this happening at the moment. People are doing it, people are winning it. There's no reason why the whole market and the industry can't do the same. But it's about how do you create a strategy to make that sort of happen. And again, we're seeing this everywhere at the moment across the membership. This is one of the members who we won a really nice deal with, which is basically 160k retainer for a year plus fees on top of that, 15% fees. So the fees are low, but we're getting the 160k retainer as well. But basically it's a 12-month contract, so they can now see the next 12 months ahead of them, which is obviously really exciting from that point of view. One thing we do know as well, the market share has shifted and changed as well. So traditionally, the market share in the past has been to the large solution providers, the big recruitment companies. We're seeing that shift now significantly. So the SME part of the market, the micros, the solos that matter. We had a whole solo meetup yesterday in London. Are now winning lots of market share from the big solution providers. So don't think you can't do RPO because you're a one-person business or a three-person business. Don't think you can't offer subscription services or embedded solutions because you're a small business. You absolutely can now. That's the great news about this type of stuff. And all you need to do is just figure out how you're going to do it. We then look at what those products look like. What type of products can you take to market and offer? Here's an example of all the sorts of products and services that you can take to market and offer to your client base. You can do these as separate products. You can have them as a blended solution if you want to. But what we're now starting to see are recruitment companies offering more of a holistic solution to their customers, more of a talent solution rather than necessarily just finding candidates and filling jobs. So again, not suggesting you do all these things you're seeing on the screen, but you might want to start thinking about widening your service offering to be able to allow you to create a different type of relationship with your client base. We saw this with Adecco, for example, who did a partnership with Salesforce. And on the back of that, now it's called Our Potential, and they're now not their solution is increased, I should say. So they're now not only placing contractors, they're also placing AI agents into companies at the same time. Go figure. So this is where the market is shifting again, and it's really, really transforming. And you've got businesses like Adecco and Salesforce coming together to actually build a solution for their client base. No reason why you can't do exactly the same thing as well. When I look at the industry and the companies that we work with, there's lots of things happening about how recruitment companies that we work with are growing in 2026. This is based on some of our data. But two things to highlight for today is certainly recruitment leaders now are ranking profitability as their number one metric, more so than revenue at the top end. So how much profit is coming at the bottom end of what we're doing. And then the second thing with that as well is how many agencies are planning to launch a new revenue model in this year, which we're already seeing. So this productization piece is very much about launching a new product or a suite of products and services that are more profitable than maybe what you've currently got today, and then taking that to market to your existing marketplace. So to summarize that, I suppose, there's a transactional shift at the moment, moving recruitment companies from the left-hand side, which is what we've always done and what a lot of the industry has done, which is very transactional, lots of wastage, lots of risk, very much low or high volume contingent type recruitment, maybe getting onto PSLs if you're lucky. But moving now towards that right-hand side where you're getting far better reward. It's more efficient recruitment, and you're doing stuff like embedded partnerships, RPO Lite, subscription, SOW, different versions of SOW, We have a thing called TTP, there's RAS and there's TAS. There's all these acronyms and stuff that's out there. These are just different types of products and ways of delivering your talent service to your client base and to your marketplace. The more you are on the right-hand side, the more money you're going to make and the more efficient and effective your business will be. The left-hand side is just tough, I think, is a reality check. So you look at the types of customers you want to work with: good business, good clients, and bad clients. We measure a thing from a client point of view called the customer value index to identify what makes a good customer in this type of market, what makes a good customer for you and your business. And we scorecard customers based on certain criteria. And then that helps us decide actually the sorts of customers we want to work with and the sort of customers we don't want to work with. Here's an example of 7 criteria that you could score your customers against. And then basically you build a product suite to go and find those customers and sell those products to those customers. So if you're saying, actually, we want a really good customer for us, they're good to work with, we get good payment terms, we're exclusive, we get recurring revenue, et cetera, then make sure you've got products that align to that so your customers can buy from you in that way, if that makes sense. And that's how you scorecard your customers against the vitality curve. Again, if any of you want, I've got a copy of a thing called the Customer Value Index. I can share with you that tool across if you just give me a yes or something in the chat, and I'll ping that across to you if you're interested, and we can share that with you. But you should be looking at this on a regular basis. You should be measuring in your monthly, weekly board packs and sort of management accounts, etc., what the growth is in these different types of products. You don't have to flip all the way into being fully retained, but you do need to be continuously improving the volume of the relationships that you've got and getting more and more retained over a period of time is what I would suggest to people, etc. And that's only what we look to do on the boards I sit on. Okay, so overall, easier to sell this type of business. It creates different new opportunities. So you're starting to open up non-customers, people who wouldn't buy from you before now buying from you. It changes the relationship quite significantly, which I think is important. It's more valuable to you, improves your conversion ratios, it's sustainable, it's scalable, it's sticky business, and you get this recurring revenue, this MRR, ARR, monthly annual recurring revenue. It's just much better business. That's the reality. And all the companies I work with, we're shifting them significantly and have done for the last couple of years into selling this type of relationship with the customers, and it's great. So the piece then is, how do you do it? That's all well and good. I think we get the concept. The question is, how do you do it? So you do a thing called productisation, and this is actually really, really simple if you can get your head around it, but incredibly effective if you want to sell more of this type of business and this type of relationships with your customers. Productisation is built on the concept of decoy pricing. I'm sure you're all familiar with decoy pricing. If you're not, just to explain it, Starbucks went through this process a number of years ago, where in Starbucks, there used to be 2 sizes of coffee that you could buy. You could buy whatever it was, a small and a grande or something. So one was £2.50 or €2.50. One was €3.50. They wanted to sell more of the €3.50 cup, but people were sent to be buying the smaller cup. So what do they do to try and convince people to buy the bigger size coffee cup? Well, they just created an even bigger size coffee cup, which was €5. And then suddenly now that €3.50 coffee cup actually feels about the right sort of size. Doesn't feel too expensive, doesn't feel too cheap, feels about right, is in the middle. That's called decoy pricing. They want you to buy the €3.50 size coffee cup. So they put the $5 one in there or the €5 one in there as a decoy to make the €3.50 one look better. And you see this every time you buy anything online, any social media, any apps that you buy, any technology. Have you noticed there's always 3 or 4 or 5 options? They sort of want you to buy the middle one. They even tell you the one in the middle is the most popular to convince you of that. These 2 here are in black and white. The one in the middle is in color. It's subtle, but they want you to buy the middle one. They're decoys. It's called decoy pricing. No one's ever going to buy the starter one. It looks rubbish. The premium one looks too expensive. Here, the plus one looks just about right. You get the idea. And that's called decoy pricing. So when you're going to your customers, rather than saying, we've got 3, do you want to work with us? Do you want to can we work with you? Instead, you should be saying, based on our conversation, there are 3 or 4 different ways that we can work with you. I presume you're going to buy one of them. Let's discuss which of the ways is best suited for what you need right now. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's almost like a presumptive close, I suppose. But at the same time, what you're saying is there's different ways of working with us. Let's talk through those. And whatever they are, whether it be MSP, RPO, project recruitment, SOW, and so it goes on. There's hundreds and hundreds of these. I can share all this with you later on so you can see it. So you need to build out your proposition, you need to build out your product suite, and you need to build stuff that's going to add most value to your business. A great way of starting this process is using a toolkit called the Value Proposition Canvas. Again, we can share this with you if you're interested. And basically, in a very short way of summarizing how it works, your customers, the companies that you're targeting, have two things. They have gains and they have pains. So gains are the things that they want to do more of, improve in their business, etc. Pains being the issues, the problems, the challenges that they're facing. If we understand your ideal customer profile, you understand what their gains are, what their expected pains are this year, we can then build a product suite that basically helps them find those gains or improve those gains or solve those problems. So again, if I look at an ICP document here, we can look at some of the pains that they're facing. These are some of the classic things that they're sort of facing now. So basically what we're going to do is then build a whole bunch of products that are going to be gain creators or pain relievers. The reason why this is important is because what a lot of people have done is they've basically created almost like retained or embedded partnership solutions or these different types of products. And all they've done really is just repackage what they currently do. So actually, it's not making any difference whatsoever, and it doesn't work. So if you're going to build a retained offering, or you're going to build an embedded partnering offering or a multi-hire offering, it's got to do two things. It's got to basically either fix their pains that they've got, and also it's got to help them with their gains. It's got to give them something they want. So think about that in your product offering. Use the canvas to help you with that, and it will help you identify exactly what sort of the products can look like based on what your customers are asking for. You might as well build a product that your customers want rather than a product that looks good on a marketing brochure but doesn't necessarily do anything with it. And there's all sorts of different types of products you can build. If you remember, we had a few over the last few years. We've been working with companies who have got lots of LinkedIn licenses left because they've downsized their business. Maybe they've got maybe 10-20% less consultants, but they're stuck in a contract with LinkedIn. So what do they do with those LinkedIn licenses they're stuck with? Well, what they actually did was we exchanged them. We went to LinkedIn and said, we've got these unused licenses. Can we exchange these for job adverts? We managed to convince them to do that. So we then had a whole shed load of job adverts instead. We then created a product which is all about search campaigns. So we're basically producing long lists for clients. It's cheaper. We only charge 14% for it. And we're using all our job adverts, but it's a brilliant way of using up our job ads. It's a great way of working with customers who wouldn't pay the full fee with us. We're making good margin off the back of it because we're not doing any guarantees or half the work. It's a win-win-win situation. So again, you can think about problems and turn them into opportunities and products based on that type of process. That will make sense. So many products you can create depending on how in depth you want to get with this and where you want to go. We're also talking a lot at the moment, and I'll touch on this briefly, but if you're interested in this is what we're talking about Pinnacle, which is the most exciting thing I think that's happening in our industry at the moment, the Pinnacle moment as we call it. Where we're seeing a shift from recruitment companies going from typical recruitment supply into more of this transformational talent consultancy end. So taking basically market share from the traditional consultancies. This is where it's hugely lucrative and really exciting. We call it the white space because there's nobody really sitting in there. It's an uncontested market that people are now tapping into, and it's really lucrative business. Again, your clients want to work with you from a consultancy point of view, but they don't want to use traditional consultants because traditional consultants are slow, over-engineered, expensive, etc. And they can't use you to do some of this stuff at the moment because you're not offering a product that offers it. So you're more reactive and role-focused and quite narrow focus on recruitment rather than the consultancy piece. So if you build your product that fills the white space, you're literally going into a whole new market, which is incredibly lucrative at the moment. And we're seeing loads and loads of these. We call them capability projects, and they are brilliant. They are really exciting types of projects because your clients don't want CVs anymore. What they're looking for is advice, insights, information, support, help with their workforce planning, etc. So your products need to align to that as much as it is about selling a retainer or selling a contingent role, etc., etc. What's driving these projects? All the things we've talked about before. So these are the things that your customers, these are the pains and in some cases the gains of your customers. So this is what's driving these projects. So we need to go win these types of projects. And then if you win these types of projects, they are highly lucrative. Here's an example of one project. It's quite a big project. It's about £500,000 project. So this is an organization that went out to a consultancy firm because they wanted to develop a new talent acquisition model within their business. They want to look at workforce planning, the actual tech stack they had, the process redesign, and then roll it out across the business. So they went to a consultancy firm. The consultancy firm pulled together a bunch of experts to go into the business to deliver this project. You can see who the different people were in the project, what their day rates were, and how long they were out for. So the consultancy were charging this project team out for about just over £500,000. The question I've always asked is, okay, that's a consultancy firm. Could a recruitment company, could any of you on the call basically build exactly the same team of people? And yes, absolutely you can. You can go and pull together that team of people. You can charge them out on a very different cost basis based on their actual charge or the cost for those people. And actually, if you look at this in this case here, a consultancy would be charging over £500,000. Our cost to deliver exactly the same project with the same people is actually only 159 grand. So actually somewhere between 159 grand and £500,000 is your margin that you stick in the middle. That's a massive opportunity there and a hugely exciting amount of revenue to generate. So there's an example project that you can sort of roll out. I've got loads of examples of these projects. I won't go through all of these, and I can share some of these with you, but these are live ones that we've built that are really, really making a difference, that have moved the needle. Again, good quality projects. This particular one here was about weaning a particular company off all the agencies they were using, other agencies. So we went in there and won the contract for one of our agencies. Absolutely brilliant, and a really nice investment that we got back as well. And again, we see this all the time. £500,000 deals, 6 months retainers project, 25% of the fees up front. 12-month project, 20% of the fees paid as monthly retainer, 350 grand's worth of business. These are actual deals that are happening at the moment. If you want to understand these deals, you need to go and find them first and foremost. Obviously, talk to your existing customers. You can also go and find capability projects. We've built a couple of agents to help us with this. If you want a copy of this, just give us a yes in a chat and we'll send it across to you. And you literally type in your marketplace and your geographical location, and it will actually help you find these types of projects. They're currently there, they're advertised, they're available. You just need to go after them and pitch for them. Excuse me. So if you want to go and find some of these projects, use our agent, go and find some of these capability projects, and then go and pitch for them. And then you can start moving yourself up this consultancy ladder, in essence. Not too far, but this is the whole point of why we talk about the pinnacle program that we talk about, because it's a pinnacle moment. If you're doing contingent recruitment, you're probably at best working 16 to 22%. Retained, you can certainly push up to it into the 30s. Embedded, you're doing 35 to 45 net margin. But then diagnostics, advisory, other stuff is significantly higher margin. There's absolutely no reason on the call why anyone on the call, whether you're a solo operator or you've got 100 recruiters, you can't be doing all of this stuff on here, and maybe more of the stuff towards the bottom. We call it the pinnacle moment. And as I say, when you think about the impact it has on your business, it's really quite significant. We've got example after example of members that we've worked with where they were maybe turning over £3 million. You add in a consultancy layer to their business, and suddenly their profit margin is going up by over 50%. Really, really transformative, which is great, without necessarily increasing headcount or even increasing revenue for that matter as well. Obviously improves valuations as well. Just if any of you on the call are interested in doing or building shareholder value or trying to do an exit with your business, we know for a fact that consultancy heavy type business gets a far better multiple. It's far more valuable business as well, and we can see this from the last 2 years of transactions that have happened across the industry. I pulled this together. You can see exactly where the multiples are really living at the moment as much as anything else. So it's called the pinnacle moment because actually this is an opportunity now to sell a very different type of relationship to your customer base. You can build out your own consultancy menu. Again, we go through this in more detail during Pinnacle, of the types of products and services that you can be bolting on or selling as a separate entity. But these are the types of products you could be selling. You already have a lot of this data anyway, so you can just take it to market quite simply and monetize it. We talk a lot about this in Traction, which is our AI building thing. So what we actually say is, okay, let's use the data we have in our CRMs. Let's use AI now to take all that data and turn it into a product that we're going to go and take to market. It's absolutely brilliant. And again, on the back of that, we've started to see examples of people using AI and data together to create products that they're taking to market. These are some of the ones that we built for ourselves. We use it in our own business. This is the AI platform that we built to do that. Didn't cost me any money to build this, by the way, in AI, which is great. And then similar to that, these are some of the things that our customers have been building as well at the same sort of time. So you can get a sense of what people are building now in the recruitment sector and they're taking to market and monetizing as part of their process. You can sell more advanced relationships with your customers, some of this type of stuff you're seeing on the screen. And if you really want to get into this, you can get into obviously the proper embedded RPO, SOW type stuff as well. All of this you'll find in the Pinnacle program that we've got. If you're interested in that, let us know. We'll send you a copy of the new Pinnacle program that we've created. I think it's up in the chat actually. So have a look at that and get involved in one of my sessions around Pinnacle. It's the most exciting part of the industry at the moment, I think. So then that's all the principles behind it. Let's just now go into the pitch. How do you pitch it? Well, this is the simple bit, really, bizarrely enough. Once you've worked out what your clients are looking for, what their pains and gains are, you build your product offering to make sure you're solving that, so it gives you better business. We then need to go and take it to market. And the principle in its purest sense is really simple. Following our discussions, looking at the data, these are your pains and gains, Mr. and Mrs. Client, and therefore these are the solutions that we've built that can help with that. And here's our suite of 3, 4, 5 products. The outside ones might be your decoys. You might just want to be focusing on the middle ones. The left one could be contingent. The right one could be something extremely big. It's the ones in the middle that you want to be able to sell. So whatever you build out your product suite. And I want you to be able to literally on a brochure on your website to go, these are our products, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever it might be. Start really simple. If you just did perm recruitment as an example, just start with 3 products. I've got a contingent product, I've got an exclusive product, and I've got a retained product. Worst case scenario, you're going to sell lots more exclusivity. Fine, we'll start with that as in its most simplistic sense. How do you sell it? Well, here's the product. So if you work with us on a contingent basis, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is what we do on the left-hand side. You can see what we're up to and what we do for our contingent clients. We present you with our shortlist, et cetera, et cetera. And so you know the average success rate on contingent is about just under 20%. That's why so many jobs are left unfilled. So if you want to work with us on a contingent basis, that's fine, but that's what you will get, and that's the output, and that's how it will work. The other way you could work with us is on an exclusive basis, which is exactly the same as our contingent, but on top of what we just described, we do a whole lot of more stuff with you. And when we work exclusively with our clients, our success rate shoots up. We're far more likely to find you the best quality candidate and get that job filled for you when you work with us exclusively, because we can do all this extra stuff with you that we wouldn't normally do with a typical contingent client. The third way you can work with us is on a retained basis. Our third product, which is exactly the same as our exclusive, but on top of that, we do a whole lot of additional stuff on top of that, which means you're probably hiring the best possible candidate in the marketplace. You're pretty much guaranteed to get the job filled in a certain time frame, but we're also going to give you market and hiring intelligence as well to help you get those candidates over the line properly and make sure they stay, et cetera, et cetera. So 3 different products. Which one do you want? Which one is best suited for your needs right now? Contingent, exclusive, retained. And typically when you say that, here are 2, 3, 4, 5 products, the first question is always, well, what's the price difference? Obviously, I want the retained results because that's what I'm looking for, but I'm presuming it costs more money for retainers. And actually, in most cases, I say to people, it's either exactly the same margin or it's actually cheaper to do a retain. So maybe we charge 26% for our contingent recruitment, 24% for exclusive, but we incentivize you to do retainers at 22%. Well, why are you reducing your price if you're doing all this extra stuff for us? Well, we're reducing it because we want to spend more time working with customers who are serious about their recruitment and allow us to do our job properly, which means we fill nearly all of our jobs. What we don't want to do is spend lots of time with customers who are wasting our time or where we don't get the jobs filled because it's contingent, it's a bit loose. And so we incentivize our customers to work with us in that way. And I think it's a really nice pitch and it just works incredibly well when we see it happening. Success rates go up the further right you go, your service offering improves the further right you go, but your investment to get that service from us goes down the further right you go. There's a no-brainer example of why you should work with us on a retained embedded partnership model, whatever it's going to be. Does that make sense, everyone? Hopefully it does, and that gives you a nice way of looking at it. Lots of examples of companies who do this. This is their product mix for one of the members. They call theirs React, Target, and Commit. It's on their website. You can see all this stuff. You get a different service level depending on how committed you are and embedded in the relationship. You get a different service level the further right you go, et cetera, et cetera. So same principle. They just happen not to call theirs contingent, exclusive, retained, but they call theirs React, Target, and Commit. So you can see how that sort of works. Once you've built out your product suite, you then take it to market and you run 2 campaigns, one external, one internal. Your internal campaign, this is one of the members called UA, Understanding Recruitment, I should say, who you are. And we built out an internal document to help them take this product to market, to how to sell it. So this is us, we gave this to their recruiters to train them on how to answer the killer questions, handle objections, how to pitch it, et cetera, et cetera. And then we then created an external marketing campaign, go-to-market campaign, looking at first of all, your existing customers. So how do you convince some of your existing customers who are probably very happy working with you on a contingent way and convert that into a retained relationship? Then you look at your dormant customers, then you look at your new future prospects. How are we going to convince them by the end of this quarter to be 25, 30% of our customers are going to be on a retained relationship rather than a contingent relationship, et cetera, et cetera. So you map it all out, you build out your program, you create your go-to-market strategy, and off you go. It's not complicated, but if you get the thinking right, it's absolutely brilliant. And you just got to build the right types of products, obviously, which is important. As always, if any of you on the call, if you build out this process and you go through it, I'll send you all the documents through. And if you go on TRM World, we've got loads of examples of contracts, proposal templates, etc., from all these different types of products, from statement of work through to RPO Lite and so on and so forth. Help yourself to that. If you want to do a one-to-one with me, absolutely fine, or one of the advisory team, and we'll go through your product offering to help you take that to market, make sure it's fit for purpose, and I suppose and future fit as much as anything else. So this is about productisation, not complicated, but it's moving from delivering just a typical transactional service into more of a transformational solution with your customers. And the big four, I suppose, I want you to be thinking about is using as a toolkit to help you with this. Velocity is the business development playbook that you can have, which is about how you take this to market. Traction is how you're using AI to superpower that. Your social scaling program is making sure you're generating the leads through your LinkedIn and your personal brand. And then the pinnacle is basically how the types of products that you're taking to market. So use the tools that are there for you. They help yourself. They're all free. And add all this together, you can build a really cool offering that will significantly help you increase that margin and that value and that embedded relationship type of piece. Contingent recruitment is really, really tough. Partnering with your customers, embedded partnerships, etc., is so much better business, and I just can't stress that everyone should be moving and shifting to that right now if you haven't already.
Hi there, I'm James Osborne, the co-founder of the Recruitment Network, and this is the TRN Podcast. Every week, we unpack the strategies, the technologies, the processes and mindsets fueling today's top performing recruitment agencies. We take a look behind the scenes of some great recruitment businesses. We listen to the real life stories of those who have built those businesses, and we learn from some of the industry's greatest thought leaders to help you become both future fit and future relevant. So let's begin with this next episode of the TRM Podcast.